All right, my name is Kaela Curtis. So this upcoming election in 2020 is one of our most important elections of our lifetime, and there's going to be several million more young people who can vote. One of the biggest things about getting young people mobilized and interested in the democratic process and in voting is getting them to vote early. So if you start voting when you're 18, you're more likely to continue voting later. So making it easier to vote, but also encouraging young people to vote at a young age really helps build that coalition of voters and keep it consistent and strong throughout their lifetime. So in North Carolina, we do have a voter ID law, and the thing with voter ID laws is they disproportionately harm black and brown people who might not have the correct ID, which therefore suppresses their vote. So encouraging things like automatic voter registration, also that's the other thing, voter registration. So having to register to vote, the easier we can make it, the more less likely voter suppression is going to happen. So when you make it difficult, like for example, if you have to go to the DMV, well, in my state, waiting at the DMV can take 4 hours. Well, if you have a job and you have to go back to work, then you can't wait for 4 hours. Then you're not going to register, then you're not going to be able to vote. So making it easier, making it people be able to vote online, which is one of the big things, that makes it way easier and increases voter turnout. But also not having voter ID laws that the main reason that people say we need voter ID laws is because of voter fraud, but voter fraud is very rare and doesn't happen often, and voter ID laws are more often than not a way to further suppress the votes, usually of minorities. So there's two things, and these are kind of intertwined. So my biggest thing right now is climate change. We only have 12 or so years before the effects that humans have wrought to the planet are irreversible, and then we'll have to deal with, I live in North Carolina, which is a coastal state, so more hurricanes, and we've already had several hurricanes, and now we're having things like hurricane days where you have snow days, well now we're missing days for hurricanes. And it absolutely destroys communities. People can't go to school. There's kids in a county in North Carolina called DuPont County, and they live near hog farms. And when one of the hurricanes came in around 2 years ago, all of that waste from the hog farms flowed into their community, and they didn't have clean drinking water. It smelled awful. They couldn't open their windows, and so that contributes to things. That brings in environmental racism because black and brown people are more likely to live in areas that are disproportionately hurt by climate change. So climate change is my biggest thing. And then after that, which is kind of intertwined, is democratic reform. So dealing with making voting easier, but also term limits and things like that in the Senate, making lobbying, dealing with whether or not people can lobby right after they go out of politics, because you see lots of representatives beholden to certain lobbyists, and that obviously negatively impacts our politics. Dealing with money in politics, how people can donate, encouraging grassroots donations, and dealing with super PACs, overturning Citizens United, all of that, reforming how we conduct politics in our nation will really help us pass those laws. You can't really get anything done until we make it easier to get things done, and so in that sense, both of those things are intertwined. I'm Kaela, and this is Faith to See You.